Hello, my name is Christopher Jennings, and I am the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program Coordinator at Lincoln College Preparatory Academy. If you are watching a pre-recorded version of this session, you will just get my input. But if you're watching one of the live sessions, I'll have some current IB students who I will have already introduced participating in this session as well to provide their perspective. As we go through this session today, I wanted to provide a general outline of the themes that we'll be looking at. So the first section we'll be going over is just general IB information. So kind of the program on the global scale, just what it is, how it exists. And then we'll focus in the second section specifically on what IB looks like at Lincoln. In the third section, we will focus on something that's a little bit tedious, but it is important to know the end result. So the IB assessments and IB scores, which ties into how the IB program can benefit students by earning them college credit. Which will lead well into the next section, which are the benefits of IB. And we'll actually look at some of the pros and cons from the student perspective as well. And then we'll look at the expectations that Lincoln has of its IB students. And then lastly, we'll look at the prospective IB sophomore students timeline. To start with, as I mentioned, I want to kind of provide the big picture, broad overview of IB. And I will warn it is a very detail-oriented program. I've been an IB teacher since 2015, and I've been IB coordinator for the last couple of years at Lincoln. So, and even I'm still kind of learning some of the nuances of the program. But the big picture is it is a 2-year rigorous and comprehensive curriculum. I'm going to use a lot of acronyms. The first one's obviously IB with International Baccalaureate. The second one you see there is DP, that stands for Diploma Program, that takes place during students' juniors and senior year in high school. And so it's regarded for entry into universities throughout the world. And that's where obviously the international aspect of it comes into play. And it's been in existence since 1968. It actually started as a school for the children of diplomats. Lincoln's program, IB program, has been in existence since the mid-1990s. So Lincoln's offered IB since then. And currently there are over 5,000 schools who offer IB in 158 different countries, which accounts for over 1.3 million students. And it is designed for students who are willing to challenge themselves and work extremely hard. And you'll hear that if you're during a live session from some of our current IB students. With that, though, it does offer the opportunity for students to enter college with enough credit hours, in some cases, to be classified as a sophomore. And so with IB, it is a program, and it's a program that is not just focused on academics. IB's mission is to create a better world through education. And so with them not being focused purely on academics, the IB learner profile is what they kind of seek to develop out of students. And you can notice there that those characteristics that are outlined are not purely academic in nature. And so as we go through different aspects of specifically the full diploma program, there will be pieces that are not academic in nature, but that IB wants to encourage the growth of students in. So in this next section, we're going to focus on what IB looks like specifically at Lincoln. And at Lincoln, all students participate in some aspect of the IB program. But there are two different options, two different paths that students can take within the IB program. So I'm going to first point out actually the course or certificate path because it's the most easily understood. It's also known as the a la carte option, just because students can pick and choose various aspects of the program. So the course or certificate path involves students participating and completing the internal and external assessments in one or a couple of these 6 content areas. of IB, so that might be their first language, which at Lincoln is English, second language, history, science, math, or an IB elective, and we'll get into the specifics of the course options here on the next slide. So again, the course certificate option, student takes a single course or a couple of courses. At the end of those courses is assessed. And we'll talk about assessments here in a little bit, but they're assessed in those specific courses, those areas of strength, and can potentially earn college credit in those courses. The other path is the more complex one, and the one that I'm going to spend the most time discussing today simply because it is complex and it is a bigger commitment, and that is the full diploma program. And so the full diploma program requires students to complete and pass internal and external assessments in all 6 content areas. They also need to complete a course known as Theory of Knowledge, or TOK. And in that course, there is a presentation component and an essay component. Diploma program students also must complete a 4,000-word extended essay and then participate in log extracurricular CAS experiences. And CAS is an acronym that stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. And so over the course of 2 years, students must complete 150 CAS experience hours. And I'll detail every bit of the diploma program over the next several slides. And so looking at Lincoln, what IB courses we offer are listed there at the bottom. And just to highlight again, if a student is a diploma candidate, they would need to pick one course from each group. So you see the 6 groups listed there, and then have a combination of 3 higher level courses, that's what HL stands for, and 3 standard level courses. And as the name indicates, higher level have extra components, are a little bit more difficult, where standard level aren't quite as rigorous, but still rigorous because they are IB courses. And then course or certificate candidates, also known as a la carte students, can choose which classes they want to take and how many in their areas of strength. And so you see there the groups. Group 1 is their native language, which is English. So we do English literature at Lincoln. Group 2 is their foreign language. Group 3 is individuals and societies. Group 4, sciences. Group 5, mathematics. And group 6 is the arts, or also an elective. The very last bullet point I'll point out here, a student wants to, instead of doing one of these courses, they can do a second course from group 1 to 5 to fulfill this IB elective credit. Other themes I will point out and I'll mention on the next slide. If a student is participating in the full diploma program, as it says up here, they must take 3 higher level courses. At Lincoln, we kind of narrow down the choices for them. Everyone takes English HL. Everyone also takes History HL if you are a full diploma program candidate. And then that third HL choice is the student choice. And I think I actually detail that a little bit more in a couple slides, but I'll just point that out here. Next, we'll kind of detail what I've mentioned previously. This is our additional requirements for students who participate in the full diploma program. If students are taking individual or certificate classes, they do not need to participate in these requirements. And so these 3 requirements, TOK, the extended essay, and CAS, are known as IB's core. And so you can see a little bit of the details there. So for Theory of Knowledge, it explores the nature of knowledge across different disciplines. So kind of how you know what you know in the different subject areas. And so TOK is its own course, but also aspects of TOK present themselves in all of the IB courses. And so it is encouraging an appreciation of other cultural perspectives. And within this class, students write a TOK essay and perform a TOK presentation. And the structure of TOK is at Lincoln is that it is a 3-semester class that students take all of their junior year and then first semester of their senior year. In the middle column there, we've got the second core component, which is the extended essay, also known as the EE, which is a 4,000-word research paper. And the students get to choose the topic that they write that paper on. And it's very research heavy. It's very similar to the experience that students will have in college. And along with writing this extended essay, they get to select a mentor amongst the staff at LCPA to kind of guide them through this research process and to kind of help them with it so they're not alone in it. And at Lincoln, while this is done largely outside of school classes, because they are in TOK for 3 semesters, they do receive support for the extended essay in their TOK class. And typically this essay is started in January of the student's junior year, and then they wrap it up in December of their senior year. And then the last core component listed there is CAS, which stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. And so throughout the 2 years of their full diploma program, students have to participate in and document 150 CAS experience hours. And this is where IB is kind of trying to push students to grow in those learner profile traits. And so it encourages students to be involved in artistic pursuits, athletic or sports related pursuits, activity related, and community service related pursuits. And so you can see with creativity, activity, and service how those things might apply. And so this is really the education outside of the classroom, as I've already mentioned, development of the learner profile. And throughout the 2 years of the full diploma program, students will have 3 meetings with the CAS coordinator to ensure that they are on track with completing the CAS aspect of the program. Now, I will just kind of highlight it in a sample because I have students who often see 150 experience hours and become a little bit worried that how am I going to fit this in? If you're a student who participates, let's say you're a soccer player, the soccer team practices 5 days a week for 2 hours a day. Those all count as activity towards CAS. And so in 1 week, you would have 10 activity hours towards CAS. Now with that 150 hours, IB wants you to kind of evenly disperse those. So you would have around 50 creative hours, around 50 activity hours, and around 50 service hours, and documentation of those hours as well. The timeline there at the bottom shows that CAS starts in August of their junior year and finishes hopefully in March of their senior year if they have stayed on top of their responsibilities. So kind of highlighting all of this information on one slide. The requirements of the diploma program are that students cover the 6 subjects areas in the major fields of learning. They need 3 courses at the higher level and 3 courses at the standard level. Some of our SL courses are 1 year, some are 2. And so for our full diploma program students, we put a structure in place where all full diploma students take history at the higher level, they take English at the higher level, and then their 3rd higher level subject is their choice with teacher approval. And we just encourage students to choose a subject area of strength. And then 3 other subjects must be covered at the standard level. Full diploma program candidates also must complete TOK, the extended essay, and then participate in CAS. In this segment, we're going to look at how IB courses are assessed and scores are awarded, and then how those scores can potentially translate to the earning the IB diploma. And I'll be transparent and show you what Lincoln's scores have been on IB exams. And so what I have on this slide first is kind of the basic assessment scoring structure for each course. And I'm using specifically history on this slide. The other courses, IB courses, are similar in nature, but maybe not the exact same. I chose history because it's the course that IB course that I teach as well. So with the IB history course, There are two different assessments that make up the grade. The first is the internal assessment, known as the IA, and that makes up 20% of the overall IB grade. And so the IB history course that I teach, History of the Americas, is a 2-year class, and students receive 1 grade from IB for that 2 years, and that grade is on a 1 to 7 scale. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. So for 2 years of coursework from IB, they receive 1 grade on 1 numeric grade on a 1 to 7 scale. They will continue to receive their Lincoln grades in Tyler and the normal grade book like they do and have in all of their other courses. So 20% of that 2-year grade comes from their internal assessment, which is given during the course and then is graded by the teacher. The teacher then sends a sample to IB, who grades that to make sure that scores are accurate. The other 80% comes in the form of external assessments, which are exams that take place in May. In history's court case, and takes place in May of the student's senior year. We do have some courses that test at the end of the junior year. And these exams are given in a testing environment outside of class, and they are graded by IB. So students come, sit down for a few hours, take an exam in that specific subject. Then we mail the exam to IB, who grades them, and then IB awards a score, and scores are released in July, on July 5th. Actually July 6th, I'm sorry, that's a typo there, after the students have tested, and then those scores are sent to colleges that are awaiting results. So student would typically take most of their IB exams in May of their senior year. They'd graduate, let's say mid-May, and then IB scores would be available July 6th after they've already graduated high school. And so that also shows kind of the difference between the Lincoln graduation diploma and then the IB diploma, which is kind of just a special extra thing that students have the opportunity to earn if they participate in the full IB program. And if a student is participating in the full IB program, here's how they potentially could earn the full diploma. So they take individual course exams, take place in May at the completion of the course, and those exams are scored on a 1 to 7 scale. And so they take 6 courses at 7 points apiece, which allows for 42 points possible on the exams. Students also have the opportunity through the Theory of Knowledge course and with their extended essay to earn up to 3 bonus points. So all total, there are 45 IB points available to the students. In order for them to earn the diploma, they must earn 24 of those 45 points and not fail in any of the core components, so TOK, the extended essay, and CAS, to achieve the diploma. On top of earning 24 points, they also cannot earn a 1 in any subject area. They can't earn a 2 in their higher level, in any of their higher level courses, and they cannot get more than 1, 2 in any of their standard level courses, and overall, no more than 3 3s or below, and between their 3 higher level courses, they need to earn at least 12 HL points. I know that's nuanced, I know it's a little bit convoluted. If you choose to do the full diploma program, hopefully you start to understand kind of the whole big picture by the beginning of your junior year. But we'll go over it and kind of prep you for your assessments and kind of what you need to do to be successful. This next section, we'll look at the benefits of the IB program. And so on this slide here, we kind of what I've highlighted as benefits or things that students should consider when wanting to join IB or participate in the IB program. So the first is prioritize college acceptance, and I'll have some information in a couple slides that will display this well. But students who participate in the IB program are highly sought after from universities. And with that, students also have the opportunity, depending on how much success they have within the IB program, that they can gain up to 1 year of college credit, or in some cases, 1 year of college credit and thousands of dollars in scholarships, depending on the university and their final IB scores. While at Lincoln, students who participate in IB classes do get weighted grades. So where a student would normally get 4 GPA points for an A, 3 GPA points for a B. An IB course is a student who gets an A, gets 5 GPA points, a B gets 4, and so they get those weighted grades. And that's because the IB courses are more rigorous, they are more demanding and difficult, and so the grades are weighted to reward success in those courses. And because of this, often the valedictorian of Lincoln are diploma program students, because they do benefit from that weighted grade. And then another benefit is the support systems that Lincoln has in place. We've got a very, I think, strong IB structure. We have teachers who are dedicated to the programs and students' success within that program. And so students have people to lean on to guide them through what can and will be a challenging couple of years. Also, because our diploma program is typically relatively a small cohort, the students within the IB program are able to lean on each other quite a bit as well, because they're experiencing the same courses and difficulties as they go through the program. Beyond that, IB does provide a strong background and ready for university challenges, because students are forced to manage their time effectively if they're going to have success within IB. There's also certain maturity, and so things like CAS and the extended essay where you're working one-on-one with another adult, or CAS where you are growing outside of an academic setting, lead to a greater degree of maturity among IB students. And then there is an ease of transition then into college because of the rigor that students experience during their junior and senior years in high school. And we have alumni that typically come back and talk to the IB students, and that's something that they consistently echo, is that the transition from high school to college is easy for them compared to their peers because they've been through the full diploma program. This next slide, I actually asked for some feedback from students on what they would view as the pros and cons of the IB program. So I wanted to provide that student perspective. And so you'll notice there's actually some overlap between the pros and cons list. So I'll go through the pros. I'm going to go through them quickly. Feel free to pause and look at it at your leisure. But on the pros side, we've got challenging coursework, college credit, alumni that attest that college is easier with the program than without it. And there's data that indicates this as well. There's a deeper level of thinking in IB classes. The courses are interesting, along with the topics that students often get to choose within those courses. It prepares them for college and college level writing. A pro is they're the hardest classes at Lincoln. There's a great sense of community. Weighted classes, which I've mentioned. There's a lot of writing, and so your writing is improved throughout the program. Teachers are very helpful and supported, and then there are scholarship opportunities. Going through the cons, we've got challenging coursework listed there as well. It can be limiting to the academic schedule, and that's something I think that does deserve a little bit further explanation because of the IB requirements. Students only have so many school hours in their schedule to work with, and so sometimes extra elective classes can't be taken along with an IB schedule. So a student might have to decide, do I want to take these elective courses, or do I want to attempt the full diploma path? The program is not ideal for procrastinators. Kind of tying back into that time management, it is a lot of work. They're the hardest classes at LCPA. The classwork and homework generally takes longer than non-IB classes. There's lots of writing. It's time consuming. Time management skills are crucial. You will be working on multiple papers and projects at once. And so you kind of have to prioritize and tackle each task efficiently. And students have to be driven to do the program. It is incredibly tough for students that don't actually want to be in the program. So you do have to be dedicated and driven to the program. And then CAS and the extended essay take time outside of school on top of homework. So that's from the students themselves, what they view as the pros and cons of the IB program. Now, I mentioned college acceptance rates a couple slides back, and so this slide just highlights that. The first column we have universities, the second column we have the acceptance rate of the total population, just any student that applies. The third column, we have students who are IB students that apply to those schools and what rate they're accepted at. And then in the last column, we have the difference between those two. So if you just look at like the first one, MIT, 7.2% of all students that apply are accepted to MIT, but IB students who apply 23.1%. And so you can see these are all sorts of different universities. We've got Ivy League schools in there, and we've got different rates of acceptance. Now, you may not be considering going to one of these schools, and so what I encourage you to do is, if you do have an idea or an idea of a handful of schools that you may want to attend, do a simple Google search of University of blank, University of Missouri, IB credit, and schools will typically have a page devoted to how that school accepts IB credit, because it's not something that's necessarily universally accepted everywhere. And so if that plays a role in your decision, I want you to be aware of that now. And so you can do searches on schools and get that information. Some quick examples of some schools have very nice and friendly IB acceptance policies. Some are more strict, and again, some schools don't accept IB at all, although those are few and far between as IB is growing. And it's been around since 1968, but over the last 10 years especially, it has grown, and its recognition is growing alongside it. But the University of Tulsa, you can earn up to 30 college credit hours. Sherman State, Missouri is the same. The University of Nebraska, if you get a 25 on your ACT and you earn the IB diploma, they give you college credit for those courses and $60,000 in scholarships. So that's just a blanket policy. The University of Kansas, Kansas Public University, I'm sorry, just changed policy. And so any public university in Kansas, if the student earns a score of 4 or above, they get college credit for that course. Okay, this last section are about Lincoln expectations, and then just kind of the nuts and bolts of if you want to participate or when you participate in the IB program. So the diploma program cost is $714. The exams cost $119 a piece. And so if you are a full diploma program student, you are participating in 6 of those $119 exams. So that would be $714. However, the cost of Lincoln students is currently subsidized by the districts, so students are only responsible for $200 of that $714, assuming they make their best attempts to fulfill all the diploma program requirements. If you are a course or certificate candidate, the cost is $119 per course, but this district covers all but 50 of that. So you only pay $50 per exam. If you're taking 2 courses, you would pay $100 for each one of those IB courses. And we do want students to be aware, if they fail to meet requirements, full payment responsibility will be passed on to the student. So the school will subsidize the cost, assuming you give your best effort in the course. And so our expectations are that to have an understanding that the workload will get progressively harder, and students must focus in order to submit IB components punctually and to the highest standard that they are capable. We will have checkpoints throughout the full IB program to ensure that you are keeping on top of the things that you need to do throughout the 2 years. And what we ask of parents is to support and assist in monitoring the students' progress throughout the program. So what are your options? You can either do the full diploma program, which means you take 6 IB subject group classes, 3 HL, 3 SL typically. You also would take the Theory of Knowledge course and complete CAS and the extended essay. If this is the path that you want to take, you're going to have to follow through with the application process, which I'll highlight here in a couple minutes. If you are a certificate or course candidate, you would take the individual courses of strength that you would want, and then take the exams at the end of those courses for college credit and participate in the internal and external exams for those courses. If you are a course candidate, there is no need to go through the application process. For the full diploma program, the general timeline of this information in the application process looks like what is up there. So mid-January, I push into the individual, actually push into the sophomore American history classes to give information and then collect information from students that are interested. In mid-January is when we're holding the parent informational session, which might be what you're actually sitting through and watching right now. And then the beginning of February will be the deadline for candidates who are interested to apply. So information about the application process and the exact links and things to go to will be provided to students during those info sessions that I will present to students. And so after those application materials are submitted in mid-February, there will be small group info sessions during the school day where myself, a couple of IB teachers, and administrator will sit down and answer questions from prospective candidates, and then we'll ask a few questions as well, just to make sure that everyone knows that this is the right choice and a good fit for the full diploma program. And then in late February or early March is when students will sit down with counselors and register for their courses for junior year. If you do have questions over any of this and you are watching a pre-recorded session and aren't able to sit and ask me the questions right now, you can reach me in my email. I'll also put some links down in the description of this video for you to reach out to me and maybe gather more information if you would like it.